What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Man, am I enjoying boxing tonight. Shout out to Al Heyman. Thank you, Al Heyman, and Premier Boxing Champs. Enjoyed the whole card. And I'm not going to really spend too much time talking about the undercard because this video is about the main event, but I will quickly recap. I thought the Steve Cunningham fight, I thought the right person won. Glowowski, he looked good. He was boxing. He had to deal with some adversity because he knocked down Steve Cunningham multiple times in this fight, and Cunningham kept getting back up and fighting, and he just made it a tough fight. And I'm sure Glowowski is not used to people being that durable. You have to keep in mind, this is a guy who moved up to heavyweight. That was Steve Cunningham, and then he recently dropped back down. So I like him back at cruiserweight. He actually hurt Glowowski late, but I thought Glowowski, I like the Polish boxing school. You have Andres Fonfara, Spilka, and Glowowski. I like how they maneuver. They have good grasp on the fundamentals of boxing. So I like what he did. I thought he clearly won the fight with the knockdowns and just what he was doing. He landed probably the harder shots, but Cunningham was game. Now, the other fight that had Marcus Brown, complete robbery as far as I'm concerned. I thought Brown clearly lost to the other guy, and I'm gonna call him Kala because I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's a kind of difficult name, but I thought that guy clearly won and beat Marcus Brown. He knocked him down. He was landing the harder shots. It was like, one person always told me, like, when you're scoring boxing, you kind of look at it like, who would I rather be at the end of this fight or at the end of this round? And clearly I would rather be the other guy than Marcus Brown, who just didn't look that good. He was kind of wild. He got hurt multiple times in the fight, knocked down once. And I mean, he was game, but I thought the other guy clearly won. And I knew it was going to be some bullshit when they said it was a split, because I thought it should have been a unanimous decision. Now, talk about the main event. Errol the Truth Spence Jr. versus Chris Algieri. Wow. The only thing I got to say is the truth hurts, and it's a perfect nickname for him because he was in there handling business. He looked real surgical. Round one, he came out aggressive, and what I liked that he did in round one is an immediate dedication to the body. Now, people sleep on this. A lot of guys are tough. Chris Algieri showed you how tough he was, but there's a lot of guys that are tough, like Brandon Rios. He could take a headshot all day, pause. But what happened when an athletic guy like Timothy Bradley kept sidestepping him and investing into the body? He ended up becoming the first person to stop Brandon Rios. And there's certain things you can hide with. You can have a poker face, get blasted with hard shots in the face, pause, but it's harder to have a poker belly, if you will, and fake body shots. And Errol Spence was just chopping him with vicious, thunderous body shots from round one. Right? And Rios, a guy like Rios, it showed, I think, with the Bradley, because Bradley's not the biggest puncher, but he was dedicated. And see, this is the thing where people get it misconstrued. You might not be able to get knockouts versus headshots, but if someone's not in the proper shape, like Brandon Rios, maybe his inactivity, he did some of the wrong things, let his weight fluctuate too much, then you're going to pay for it when someone's chopping you. You don't even have to have the most power. A well-placed, well-delivered body shot is going to hurt you. Now, couple that with the fact that Errol Spence Jr. is actually heavy-handed, and he looks pretty accurate with long 72-inch arms, the same length, same reach as Floyd Mayweather. That makes him the truth. That makes him a problem. And it looked like Chris Algieri, unlike Rios, looked like Algieri was in phenomenal shape. But again, it doesn't matter how great of shape you're in. If someone's abusing your body like that, it's going to hurt. And I think that kind of set the tone. Spence real aggressive in that first round. I had Spence winning every round up until the stoppages. He was landing just nasty body shots. He was aggressive. In round two, he was looking good, very sharp, surgical, accurate power punches, digging nasty shots that hurts Algieri. And I give Algieri a lot of credit, man, because he was hurt in round two, as early as round two, and he used a little bit of fancy footwork to create some real estate, but he was trying to survive in there and try to get, trying to get a cool little rhythm and things like that. So I don't know, man. Spence was just looking like a complete and total monster. The thing that was intriguing to me is, as the fight grew on, if it were to go longer, I was wondering what type of conditioning he would be in, because he was throwing haymakers. He was putting a lot of impact onto the different punches. Like, he was putting a lot of mustard on his punches. So I was anxious to see how he would look round 8, 9, 10, things of that sort. But he got him out of there, and that's what you're supposed to do in boxing. You don't let it go on longer than it should. So I really had him pitching a shutout. Round 3, he was just smothering Algieri with just a vicious attack. It was just crazy offense, and it wasn't giving Algieri much room to breathe, to think, to react. He was just on top of him. And then in the 4th round, he knocked him down. Algieri he was on the canvas like on bended knee, and he mouthed the words "fuck." Like that's what Algieri said when he was after he got knocked down, because he was giving him no room in there, just on top of him, not letting you think, not letting you do anything. At the end of the round, maybe some frustration set in because Chris Algieri ended up like pushing / tackling Errol Spence Jr. when they got tangled up, and that's kind of what punctuated the end of that round. And he got knocked down 2 times, I believe, in round 4, and then Errol Spence Jr. closed the show in round 5. Actually, he got knocked down the 2 more times in round 5. So it was a crazy star-making performance versus Errol Spence Jr. And I said this before the fight, and I'll say it after the fight. You got to give the man credit because he went in there with pretty much unproven. A lot of people, Floyd Mayweather, Errol Spence was being praised by him. He was being praised by Freddie Roach, but people hadn't seen him in there with a name that we've seen their last 3 or 4 fights or whatnot. We've seen that with Chris Algieri. We know how durable he is. Guys like Ruslan Provodnikov, he's hurt everybody he's been in there with, from Mauricio Herrera to Lucas Matisse to Mike Alvarado to just everyone he's fought. You know what I mean? Chris Algieri. And he couldn't stop Chris Algieri. And he had Chris Algieri knocked down, I believe, twice in the 1st round and hurt with a closing eye. But Chris Algieri he knows how to survive. He's been fighting. He's been in some sort of a fighting discipline, right? And Ruslan is not as fundamentally, technically sound. He just kind of comes forward, and Chris Algieri was able to use his reach and get a split decision. Then he immediately fought Pacquiao. Pacquiao knocks him down 6 times, still couldn't stop him, and that's a Hall of Famer we're talking about. And I'm not saying Spence is better than Pacquiao, because obviously he has a lot more to prove. This was his first step up, and Pacquiao has accomplished so much in the sport. But I'm just making the comparison that Chris Algieri, all these guys with a lot more experience than Errol Spence, like Amir Khan was in a tooth and nail fight with Chris Algieri, and that was coming off of a loss. He lost the Pacquiao fight. Errol Spence just fought him with a little bit more time to acclimate to welterweight, because when he fought Pacquiao, it was at a catchweight, and Pacquiao pretty much destroyed him, knocked him down 6 times, and he immediately moved to the full welterweight. So he already had some welterweight experience going into the Spence fight, is what I'm saying. He fought Eric Bonet, and he also fought Amir Khan, plus the Pacquiao catchweight, right? So a little bit more experience over the 140 mark. And Spence just went in there and just absolutely destroyed him. And these other guys, none of them were able to do it. So I think it's a testament to the game planning of Spence and what he does well. And that's just as simple as I could put it. He's not been stopped in boxing. He got stopped when he was in karate and mixed martial arts, but it's a completely different discipline. You have to not only worry about punches, even though a punch was what knocked him out, but you're also getting kicked in the head, so that could kind of weaken you from getting kicked and then you got caught with the shot and then went down. In boxing, it's merely your hands. That's your only weapons. So very impressive, and I told you I'd be impressed if he's able to stop him. He stopped him in round 5, whereas Khan, Ruslan, Emmanuel Taylor, Manny Pacquiao, none of these guys were able to stop him. When they had him hurt, he still knew how to survive. Like Pacquiao clearly had him hurt, but he knew how to survive. But he just couldn't stop the onslaught from Errol Spence Jr. For that reason, you got to give him credit, because this was a step up. Pacquiao doesn't need a step up when he fought Chris Algieri. He had already been in there with legends like Juan Manuel Marquez. He's already fought guys like De La Hoya. He's already fought guys like Miguel Cotto. He fought everybody, even Brandon Rios, by the time he fought Chris Algieri. So he was a well-trained and well-skilled and well-developed fighter. We didn't know what Errol Spence Jr. was going to look like exactly, because he was the favorite. He should have been the favorite. He's, young, 26, former Olympian. Should be the favorite, but I mean, just to go in there and win every single round. Even me, I would have picked him to win, but I didn't think he would go out and Chris Algieri wouldn't be able to steal no rounds and he just get shut out and then stopped and knocked down multiple times. I didn't think it would be quite like that. I thought he could get stopped, but I thought it would probably happen a little bit later, and I thought it would be in a more competitive fight, but this was really a blowout. So props to the Errol Spence. I'm really excited because he's a mandatory for Kell Brook. That's a huge fight. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's willing to go to the UK. That's a big fight. That's an awesome fight. I would love to see. Kell Brook needs to step it up. He hasn't fought anybody that shows the type of promise Errol Spence has since Sean Porter. Sean Porter was the last last fighter that Kell Brook fought that was really most people would say it's a 50-50 fight or 60-40. People didn't think Jojo Dan or Casey and Jojo all my life and Kevin Bezier and all them, they didn't really, Frankie Gabb, all them people, they didn't really give those guys a shot to beat Kell Brook. Well, at least I didn't, and I think the sports betting shouldn't have. So I like what I've seen from Errol Spence Jr. Shout out to Chris Algieri. Hold your head up. See, guys like Chris Algieri are almost the victim of being as tough as he is. It's almost he's a victim of that toughness because he has so much heart, and it does you no favor sometimes because this guy is not too far removed from being undefeated. Then he took a tough fight after a split decision with his eye really bad, fought Manny Pacquiao. Now, I don't blame him on that. I mean, no one's going to turn down a Pacquiao payday. I mean, that just makes sense, all the sense in the world. Who wouldn't want a Pacquiao payday, win, lose, or draw? So he did that. That made a little bit of sense, or a lot of sense, to get that money and then try to defeat Pacquiao, who got knocked out by Marquez and just only had fought Brandon Rios. He thought he had a shot. Then he came up short. Then he moved up to the full welterweight, fought Amir Khan, a silver medalist. And you know what I'm saying? He's not giving himself any kind of breaks. It's just tough fight after tough fight. Ruslan, in the trenches war where he was badly hurt, one eye, split decision victory. He was a champion in 5 or 6 months. Then he's fighting Pacquiao in Macau, China, and has to go all the way over there, acclimate to the time. Then he gets knocked down 6 times. Then he's fighting Amir Khan at the full welter. It's just back to back. And then he fought Eric Bonet and then Errol Spence Jr. So I give him credit, but I think he could still make interesting fights. He just has to take it back a notch. You know what I mean? Fight an Aaron Martinez, a Josecito Lopez. You don't want to just keep fighting all killers. You know what I mean? Because truth be told, I like him with John David Jackson, but he hasn't really given himself much time to acclimate with the new trainer in a mediocre fight. Probably Eric Bonet was probably the best or the lowest level of competition that he's fought since he partnered with John David Jackson. The other fights have been Errol Spence Jr. and Amir Khan, who are both Olympians. You know what I'm saying? So I think he needs a rest, take it easy. I was on the Dante's Boxing Nation radio show. He said we were interviewing Chris Algieri, asked him some questions, and he said he didn't know much about Spence, but he kind of thought he was just a power puncher, but I think he showed a little bit more. He was aggressive. I still have questions, like in terms of his pacing, but normally I give the good, the bad, the ugly. There wasn't much bad or ugly from either guy. I think Algieri was just outmatched and outgunned, and Spence showed up. He did what he said he was going to do, and then Spence didn't really leave room for no margin for error, so I can't really break down and critique his performance. He did what he had to do, and he did what no one else in the high-profile rankings has done in boxing. Ruslan, Pacquiao, Khan, and that stopped Chris Algieri. So props to both. Chris Algieri, hold your head up, take it easy, and you know what I mean, kind of slowly get yourself back. If you're going to continue fighting, get yourself back with middle-of-the-road guy and try to work back to the contention. But I like what I've seen from Spence. Let me know what you guys think and seen from Spence. Like the video, share the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.